And we're live! Wow, that was fancy. We get all the cool stuff. Hello, Halfling Wizard production folks out there, and just lovers of TTRPGs in general. And welcome to another Saturday evening here with QUEERZ, a very fun and adventurous romp through expressing our emotions in a calm and fashionable manner with a little bit of twist of craziness involved. I'm just kidding. No, but welcome to the game. I am your cube master, as I have dubbed myself, Mikey, and I'm back once again on another Saturday night to bring you another exciting episode of this game. I have 3 out of my 4 players joining me this evening. So really quickly, just introductions of who they are and who they are playing, and then we get a bit of a recap before we jump straight into the crazy action that is this episode. So because I can, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, since he's directly below me, Connor, you shall be the first to go.
That's me. Hi, I'm Connor. I'm the one directly below Mikey, apparently. But that's anyway. Anyway, okay. Hold up. Hang on. I'm Connor. I'm playing Warren Corral, the wordsmith. I'm flustered because earlier, somebody over on that, because I'm mirrored, that side of the screen was talking about not wanting to collect too many pets, and I think that's great. And my immediate thought was, well, I don't want to collect too many love interests from Mikey because that seems to be the thing that happens when I play games with Mikey. But anyway, that's not important right now. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Okay, bye.
Hey, listen, when you give me the okay and you tell me, these are things that you think about, they're going to find their way into the game once,
Yeah,
however we see fit. So
I get it. That's why I chose to have a complicated X relationship as part of my character build for this particular game. Because, like, why not lean into it, you know? It'll be
oh
fun.
man, this is gonna be fun. I cannot wait to bring them in once we get to it. But we're gonna move on over to the other side of the screen. So I'm gonna start with Andrew on top first. So hello, Andrew.
Hey, yeah, I'm Andrew. I'm playing Atticus. I may or may not collect some pets throughout this campaign, but yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Can't promise there won't be any love interests either, but we'll see.
Or for an unexpected twist, we have a pet as a love interest who turns out to be a shapeshifter.
Oh.
Wrong game. Anyways.
Oh.
Oh my. Oh my goodness. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, returning because apparently he liked this game well enough the first time we ran it 2 weeks ago. But JT is back. Hello, my friend.
How goes it?
It
So,
goes-
I am playing Phineas Lockwood. He is one of the newer group members. Haven't been really introduced into pets or love interests, but who knows? It's a start to the game.
Oh my goodness. I am so happy. I cannot wait for tonight's session. So let's just jump into things. So before I get into the recap, this is your warning for this episode. This is an 18 plus stream where we talk about anything and everything. If you saw the last episode, there was lots of innuendos that got thrown around. So you have been warned. Also, tonight may or may not get into the more heavier side when it comes to conversations that are going to be happening on stream. So this is your warning right now that things are going to get a little heavy by the end of this session. So just be prepared. We are in fact dealing with children and how they respond to emotions and things like that with the current predicament that our group finds themselves in. So just be prepared for all of that. But let's get into a little bit of a recap. So last time in QUEERZ, after getting your magical girl powers, going back to the attic, you guys stumbled upon not only Atticus's new pet spider that is joining the adventure with them. You, you guys also met. You guys also met Phineas, who somehow found his way into the space, the inner space of everything that it is. And after having a quick conversation with Mother, he was able to get his magical girl powers too. You guys went back into the magician's inner space. You entered the mirror and you found yourself in what seems to be a memory of sorts from this magician. You guys were introduced to the Squeak Squad, which were the little boys animated magical toys that, through the power of magic have came to life. You guys also witness a not so fun scene with the magician's father telling him that he can't be doing these childish things and that magic is, served for the purpose of being entertainment for others. It should not, taking the joy out of lots of things. So how dare he? We also learned that within the is a completely different than what they normally look like, as the inner space kind of is able to shift the views to whoever's space it is, to people that they would know. And upon hearing that the dad was looking to perfect his mirror trick, that kind of spurred our group on to go investigate and decide whether to take the long way around or not. So thus, that is where we are now, and that is where we're going to pick up. So at this point, Dad has left. Little Magician has also gone ahead because his dad told him that he needs to be there. And so we find you guys still within the tent itself, and you guys have made the resolve to go check out where this trick is going to happen. So that is where we're going to start. So currently, all of you are still within the circus tent in the back stage area where all the props and the makeup mirrors are. So what would you like to do? So how do we want to start?
Can I get a reminder as to what? Because we're all in like quantum leap style disguise, right? And so, I think I'm a rodeo clown, right?
so okay. So you are a clown. Well, let me choose better wording because that sounds rad. You are a circus clown in this inner space. So you have in the mirror, the boy sees you as a regular circus clown with big old shoes and face paint and funny attire and all. Atticus, I remember if I believe correctly, is a acrobatic, an aerialist, if you will. This is what happens when you spill water on your notes.
Yeah, I was an acrobat.
Yeah. And then I believe Phineas was some sort of animal tamer, because I remember that Q was a fire eater.
Yeah.
Because I had a whip.
Yes.
I was like a lion tamer.
Yep. See, I remember things. My memory is not that bad, you guys. But yeah, so that is what everyone looks like to these individuals that we find ourselves in the inner space. You guys look like the clown, the animal, the lion tamer, and the acrobatic, the aerialist.
I do think it's funny that when I was making this character, I definitely had some Batman-inspired stuff, and now I'm an acrobat circus, which is very Nightwing, Dick Grayson kind of thing. So,
Look, I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna say that I wasn't inspired by that, but
well,
alrighty.
I suppose we should continue on. I don't know that there's anything else we're gonna get at. Wait, do we know whose dressing room this is? Is it the kids? Does it look like that, or is it like a communal one?
So this would be a communal one because again, there's a couple of different stations with mirrors and the lighting and everything, and then there's also a variety of props that are shared between a bunch of different acts. So this is more like the general backstage area where people are like before they go out into the middle of the ring outside and perform. This is where everyone kind of finalizes everything, gets props, last minute touch ups, all that good stuff. So this is more like a communal space. However, if you want to kind of get more personal, and this was something I forgot to mention at the end, the trick or this practicing of the mirror trick is taking place where all the housing, and I put that in quotation marks, basically where the caravan of cavalcades of, you know, carriages are for all these acts are stationed at. Yes, I like alliteration. Fire me.
All right. I mean, I guess we should go try to see what Magician Senior is doing.
Yeah, that seems like the best way to go.
Sweet. Alrighty. So you guys make your way through the back of the circus tent. You are following the trail of, you know, little boy magician junior. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call dad Magician Senior, and we're gonna call the boy Magician Junior. So we're gonna call him Junior. So we have Junior and Senior. So it's gonna be fun. So you guys are following the footsteps of Junior over there as he kind of went ahead of you guys to make his way over to where his dad wanted him to. And as you guys exit the back of the tent, you are met again with kind of a more quieter area of the circus. Again, this is where all of the carriages and the tents for, you know, the acts to spend the night in and kind of just rest up a little bit. Again, it's a very communal space. It's not necessarily large. It's probably approximately, if we were going to look at a grid, probably like a 5x5 grid, but it would be more so like about, doesn't matter at this point. It's very comfy. It's very cozy. It's very quiet. Again, it's mostly where all the living spaces are. But you can see kind of like in this carnival row, if you will, where there are places and carriages stacked alongside of it. All the way down at the very end, you can kind of see the very opulence and, you know, gaudiness of a very large purple mystical aura kind of tent. I mean, it's the typical mysticism kind of like fortune tellers thing. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's purple, and is that smoke coming out of this tent? You could probably tell that's where the magician's at. But again, as you kind of exit this tent, on either side of this small little row are different carriages and tents, and at the very end is a large purple tent in the distance.
That's probably it.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess so.
Because,
Like-
man, that is purple.
Are there any other people out and about here?
So, I
Any
guess
other
as
performers?
you kind of look around, for the most part, it's quiet, but you do notice kind of as you look down the road, you do see a few individuals. On the left-hand side, you see this is going to be fun. So on the left-hand side, you kind of see a couple of people. You see a very strong and, you know, muscular woman who is also has the interesting aspect of having a very large but very groomed beard as well. You also see your stereotypical like twins in the jester costumes as well, kind of just jumping around doing acrobatics. And then on the right hand side, you see, well, initially you see a woman kind of in her mid 30s in a very floral dress. And then as she kind of turns her head to the side a little bit as she's knitting, you see that there's also a secondary head. So
All right, and no one's like, I'm assuming no one's like paying attention to us. Like it seems like our disguise, as it were, is still functioning.
yeah, so So the cool thing with the inner spaces is that you take on the form of whatever this world is. So to everybody else that is not you guys, just you look like regular performers who belong there. So
Cool. Um, Anybody have any objections to the direct approach?
Warren will uncharacteristically crack his knuckles, and no, I think that works this time.
All right.
Yeah, that should be. We should be just fine doing that.
All right. Let's just, I guess we'll make our way down to the purple tent.
making our way downtown, walking fast. Listen, I am not above making a fool of myself here, so this is gonna be great. Okay, so as you guys are making your way downtown, walking fast to this purple tent, again, you pass all of the carriages and tents. As you are walking past these individuals that you saw previously, they're in the middle of doing what they normally do. The twins acrobats are just practicing, juggling, balancing off of each other. The bearded lady is, curling it. One of the probably the funniest things I can think of. She's curling like these two barrels full of pickles with an iron rod in between them, just kind of like doing bicep curls with it. As you guys continue walking down, you see the two-headed lady bickering about what colors they want to use for the quilts that they are making. And then, of course, just a whole other cavalcade of characters, clowns. You have like animals. Some of you may or may not try to avoid getting spit by a camel as well. So it's a great time. But you guys eventually do make your way to the end of this carnival row, and you find yourself on the precipice of this very large purple tent. And upon further inspection, yeah, it's gaudy as all hell. It's, how do I put this? It's very purple, and the design of the tent seems to be designed with like various arcane symbols, things like that. So you have no doubt that you found the right place.
Do you think he's home? Do we need a knock?
Can you knock at a tent?
I mean, not the greatest, but it kind of makes that kind of noise.
Right. I I'm gonna be honest. I don't I feel like I talked a big game like a few steps ago, but now I don't really know what to what do we like? Are we just gonna go in there and like beat up this kid's dad?
I mean, do we hear any sounds coming from the tent?
So, as you kind of put your hand to your ear, so to speak, in a very cartoonishly funny fashion, you do hear a little bit of a muffling of not necessarily arguing, but you hear loud voices. You hear, the more gruffer voice of Senior and the more frill voice of Junior. And it seems that Senior is telling something to Junior and Junior is telling something to him, but you can't necessarily make it out. But the sound that you can make out, though, is you do hear kind of the whirring of the whirling sounds, the hums in the air, if you will, of something kind of like crackling, like some sort of energy, kind of like electricity in a little bit without, getting shocked to death about it. But it's like an electric hum coming from behind the tent. And it's kind of that's what's kind of drowning out most. You can't really make out what Junior and Senior are talking about because this humming sound is kind of drowning out most of it.
Yeah, I say we just go in. I mean, technically, we look like these people, so if we just go in, we can kind of scope out the scene. The worst that's going to happen is he's probably going to get mad at us for like coming into his tent because he's going to think we're circus folk and interrupting this thing, and maybe we can assess from there. Um, but yeah, I think we may have to beat up this kid's dad.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll go. I'll go first, and Warren will zip right through the fold of the tent.
Cool.
All right,
So you
I'll follow after.
okay?
Let's go.
And
I'll be right
he's just
behind.
like, I sense danger behind this, but
Yeah.
I can't leave them alone.
I'll just reach back and grab.
Is he like, ah?
Ah,
So as the three of you make your way into the tent, you immediately realize that you are no longer in Kansas, so to speak. The outside of the tent and the inside of the tent are completely different because from the outside looking in, while this tent was very large for, more than an average size tent, as soon as the three of you walk in and you kind of look at your surroundings, you are immediately shocked by the fact that there is so much room in here. In fact, the outside lies about how big this is because you find yourself inside kind of a two-story, kind of very old Victorian era rectangular theater where in the center is kind of like sand and gravel and a little bit with a stage in the middle of it, and then on the first floor and then on the second floor are banisters kind of like for a viewing platform and stuff like that. And smack dab into the middle of all this, you now know where this humming is coming from because directly in front of you, you see Senior and Junior kind of continuing to hash it out, so it seems. But Senior is in the middle of this performance area and he has created a kind of floating mirrors, a little bit of different shapes and sizes, kind of just hanging there. And then you can see that each mirror is kind of like crackling with this very enigmatic purple glow to each of them. And you also see directly in front of him, a couple of feet, is Junior yelling at him to, not do this, as well as the Squeak Squad kind of hiding within the pockets and things of the, Junior. And immediately you see what looks to be these dark kind of purple things coming out of these mirrors, which, Atticus and Mr. Wordsmith over here, you are familiar with because these look like exactly the things that came out of the mirrors while you guys were at the carnival back at home. So this is good. So yeah, so it is getting chaotic out here. It is wild. So that is what you see. So, what would you like to do?
Whoa. Is that what he looks like too? He's like
Yes.
magician Santa. Okay. Oh wait, are there actually people there? Or no? Is that just your art?
That's just the art, but I
Okay.
will say that the Junior's right there, and where you can see the head and the guy with the top hat is kind of like from a horizon point of what you guys are looking at too. So,
I mean, I'm gonna go for it. One of my, I don't want to say descriptors, but my fighting style is decisive. So, Atticus is gonna jump forward and use his loner swordsman feat, or what PT, what is that, whatever it is, summon my sword.
sure.
And he's gonna do the anime, bring his hands together. Actually, I like the idea that he does like draws the sword from nowhere kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And as he does, he armors up, even if it doesn't actually change it for their view. Up for his ally armor on, and pulls out his sword. The Spectrum's Edge.
Yes. Oh, this is gonna be so much fun. Alrighty. So this is gonna be fun. So as you are doing this, Atticus, just because I think it's gonna be fun, I'm going to have you roll for me. So I'm going to have you roll probably one of the two favorite moves out here. I'm gonna have you roll strike a pose and
Nice.
see how well this sword coalesces.
All right. So can I add my summon sword and my decisive and powerful to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. I also have intimidating combatant.
Who are you being intimidating to?
Oh, I definitely want to be intimidating to Magician Senior over there.
I'm gonna say
So I want to.
I'm gonna say that because he's preoccupied arguing with Junior, he doesn't notice you there yet, or since he doesn't notice you there yet. So, but the other two you do get to add. So
add 2 to my roll.
Yep.
All right, I got 11.
Damn.
Plus the 2, so 13.
Well, forget this book then. Okay. So with that 11, so you and this is going to be fun for how this is going to go. So first things first, you are able to summon your blade without a problem. Had you failed, I would said you summon your blade, but it's like you summon your blade, but it's like, think of like the Keyblade of Kingdom Hearts, where it comes to different iterations. Instead of summoning your sword, you summon a sword that's like like a foot long sandwich instead.
In this case, since we're in the circus, it would have been like the balloon swords you get from the balloon maker.
Exactly. So your sword on mess ups will take the shape of whatever environment you are in. So, but no, it is your sword. And on top of that, I am going to use this a little bit differently, but you also get 1 juice, which means that if you need to, you can use that as a bonus to add a +1. You can give the juice to kind of use the help action, if you will, against some, with an ally of your choosing. And yeah, so we'll start there, but it's ever expanding. So you can have 1 juice, which means it's very good.
So you're saying this juice might make me find some inspiration?
Yeah, sure. The more I try not to make it D&D, the more it becomes D&D. We're just gonna let it happen. No, but in all seriousness, the juice is a really fun mechanic in this game that allows you to kind of give yourself an extra boost, or use that boost to an ally, so during their things. So it's always good. But yeah, so sword in hand. Can't believe I'm gonna ask this question. So with sword in hand, Atticus, what are you planning on doing? Are you gonna just go straight into the fray?
I think he'll, because you said that the boys in the middle and the things are coming out like of the center.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he'll try to jump out to like disrupt what's happening, and try to gain the old man or the senior's attention. So not knowing if he looks any different, if he looks like an acrobat or he looks like his armor, he's gonna. He feels like he looks like his armor, so he's gonna jump forward with the sword out, and I guess he'll just go to engage and try and stop this ceremony that's happening. Does there seem to be a source of energy that's like creating this? Like, is it coming from the magician?
It seems that, based on what you are looking at, of course, so now that you are kind of getting closer into the fray, I can give a little bit more of a description. So as you're kind of entering stage left, if you will, as you kind of getting closer, the mirrors are still there in various sizes and shapes, floating through the air. Junior is in front of his dad, who is on the stage, It seems though, kind of a la Doctor Strange, the magic is being controlled through his hands, but it seems that the seems to be a little pendant that he is wearing.
All right. Well, he'll just jump forward, and because I know it's cheesy, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. He's gonna jump forward to try and get the guy's attention. Get away from him, you bitch!
We're far enough in so we can draw curse words, so we're fine. I was not expecting that. So, Atticus, as you jump in with your first ever catchphrase, I guess, if we're going to go there, the senior looks kind of momentarily shifts his focus from Junior to you. Again, he sees this acrobat and is kind of just like not amused by what being interrupted, what's happening. Senior goes, great, even more distractions. Well then, seems to be the perfect time to see how this goes. And with the shift of his hands, the mirror pieces begin to kind of slowly, in a circular fashion, kind of go around the room, floating. And then they kind of all come down to ground level. And the things that you saw were kind of just chilling back there, which are similar to the mirror monsters that you saw. These things begin to crawl out, and now this is about to be a big old fight on his hands. So Junior looks around Atticus with you, and Junior yells at Senior, you can't do this. Magic isn't supposed to be used like this. What are you doing? Kind of begging him, like, this is not what Mom wanted. Why are you doing? This is a child trying to understand what he is seeing and internalizing it and trying to get his dad to stop. Meanwhile, towards the back of this, while Atticus is in the fray, you two are kind of just witnessing all this go down. So how do you respond to, well, the scene in front of you, as well as watching Atticus kind of just go summon his sword and jump straight into the fray?
I, if you're okay with it, Mikey, would like to do another, what is it, core move? Yeah, a core move. And I would like to get a clue.
Go for it.
And I think it's a momentary shock of like what this scene is, and then seeing Atticus jump into action so easily, it jolts Warren into just check it, like intaking this environment. And I have where is it? Attention to detail from my master my craft realness. So I'd like to, do you want me to like just say what I'm looking for specific, or should that be dictated by the role?
No, you can tell me what you're looking for. And the cool thing with get a clue is depending on what you roll, you either get complete, partial, or no information.
Cool. Yeah, I think I specifically want to, I've been so focused on the big magician, I want to take in information about any other like threats or environmental things going on in the area that might give us an edge to protect or better protect Junior.
All right, so go ahead and roll get a clue and add your bonuses and see what happens.
Okay, so that's a 9 total with my +1 from attention to detail.
Sweet, we love to see that. So on a 9, you get information, but there's going to be some sort of complication. This is where the fun starts for me. Alrighty. So you are looking to see if there's anything that you could possibly do to better protect Junior. So as you are kind of surveying the area and trying to find the detail, like small little minute details of what you can seem as information, you realize that even though these creatures are coming out of the mirrors and you see that the energy within the mirrors are kind of crackling and kind of giving off little sparks. Not enough to be worried about them, but you notice more so for Junior that despite him kind of being in the middle of this, pleading with his father to stop what he is doing and not to do this, and that magic is supposed to be for fun and joy instead of doing whatever this is, you notice that there seems to be a faint kind of shield aura around him, but it's flickering on and off. I will say that, and because of the 9, the complication is I can give you partial information, but you're going to have to use this info however you wish you wear. Because Junior is in such an emotional state, it seems whatever this aura is kind of flickering on and off, dependent on, how, for all intents and purpose, how more emotional he is versus kind of calming down a little bit. So the more emotional he is, the more it flickers, and the more he kind of reserves himself back and kind of takes a step back and kind of is just watching it kind of flickers off. So it's like a light bulb going on and off.
Okay, thank you. Then if I can do like another thing, I'd like to step up to Ally's position as well in like a dramatic anime shoulder to shoulder spot where we're both on the same playing field.
Okay, I will say you were able to do so. So Warren, you are able to move up and kind of join the fray next to Ally's position without a problem. Again, I will say that this is the point where the mirror creatures are starting to come out. So the two of you are now there. Phineas, we kind of backtrack a little bit. So Warren and Atticus have gone into the fray. This whole scene is playing out in front of you. As the newest member of the squad, how do you react, and what would you like to do?
With all of this going on, you said that there are things coming out of the mirrors, correct?
I was muted. Yes.
Okay. I thought you were just building suspense for a second. That's okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, okay. So the two of them are action posed up against Senior. I'm going to close the gap to however far we are towards the kid and draw said weapon and I guess wait as an action to see if they're whatever those mirrors, if they're going to come after us or the kid or go towards Senior. Yeah, so it's a lot of surveying in my own personal action pose, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of doing the wait and see kind of, but while also kind of being in vicinity with your squad members. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. I won't make you roll anything for it. That's easy enough to do. And so you position yourself within the vicinity of your allies and are ready for all things to happen. So now that all three of you have kind of entered the precipice of the major kind of dramaticism happening here, the mirror creatures kind of pull themselves out of the mirror. And again, it's these very monochromatic, kind of lifeless forms, if you will. Unlike the mirror copies that you guys saw for most of you saw at the circus that were copies of the people in the audience, these just look like what happens if you just took a bunch of clay and you made them they're basically putties from Power Rangers. They also make the putty sounds like
I know this one. You hit the thing in the middle, right? You hit the thing in the middle.
Yeah. How did you know?
with a dramatic kick or a swing of your sword.
Nice. And then they explode with sparks.
And don't forget the dust.
Yes.
Hey, this is set in like the alternate 90s, so that is definitely that's definitely how this is going down. Cool. So yeah, so demure putties, if you will, have coalesced. They're out there. They're kind of just throwing their arms out a little bit, doing weird little dances, making this weird little sound. And so now you guys find yourselves around the putties. So now, since this is more of a story-driven game and it's not combat mechanics, but we are about to enter what I have dubbed, guys, it's time to kick some ass.
Sweet.
As soon, all of a sudden, you three hear that, it's like time to kick some ass. And then if anybody has played the Beautiful Joe games, it's like all of a sudden the scene kind of like starts and everything. The lights dim, all of a sudden you are on the stage. Let's kick some ass, you guys. So one by one, I'm going to go to each of you, and I want you to tell me what you want to do as far as your action to kind of take out the putties, if you will. And then we'll see how successful or not so successful you guys end up doing. So I am going to actually go in reverse order this time. So I'm going to start with our newest crew member, Phineas. So you are kind of waiting to see. You now have seen all the mirror putties coming out of this mirror, and now they are surrounding your friends and everything. How are you going to kick some ass?
It's pretty much going to be swing until I can't swing anymore. Yeah, because this large Tetsubo is pretty much like a baseball bat with studs at the end of it.
Yeah, we love to see it.
Yeah, so like Casey Jones, like golf swing style, just you're out of here kind of. We're going to carry all these 90s references. This is going to be great.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Alrighty, so this is probably my favorite move of the game, but Phineas, I'm going to have you roll to slay. So,
oh Lord.
So slay is used to confront, impress, or just kick butt in general. So, so looking at your core stats, or at least I have your stats on hand if you need to. Is there anything you think could be appropriate to add to the ass kicking?
I did not right now. At least I know that I have like the attention to detail and the appreciate the little details and stuff like that. I don't know what they are, so my the Bookhaven complete encyclopedia is out the door. And I technically haven't used my actual powers yet. And I don't think Mother ended up saying anything that I actually do have powers. I just got a cool new suit of armor and a weapon. So we'll deal with that later. So I guess if, at least for now, if you do multiple rounds, I can use learn by watching others.
Okay. So, you know what? Thematically and story-wise, that'd be really great. So I'm just going to have you straight roll your 2d6 and let's see what happens.
All right. Let's see what we got here. 9.
Okay. So that is a partial success. So on a 9, what ends up happening is that you get to complete the action that you want to do, and you get to choose one of the what the game calls upgrades. So these are kind of special bonuses. So you get to choose one of the following: killing it, which means that if you choose this, that the enemies can't counterattack you. You can either add more power to your weapon, which will add more status damage to them. You can do more coverage, which means you can affect a small group of these little putties with your attack. You also have the option of taking something from them. You keep them focused on you. And obviously this doesn't apply now, but if you were negatively affected by a status, you can make a comeback by reducing a negative status by 1. So those are some options that you can have.
Okay. I'm going to have them focus on me as much as their putty brains can.
Got it. So, Phineas, why don't you describe the first time using your attack as, not sure if you have powers or not, but you feel something inside of you.
It is. It's kind of one of those things that when you look at somebody and you say, "Hey, stop picking on my friends," and you get a little hot-blooded. That's pretty much how it felt. And with a singular strike, at least for now, well, I don't know if you guys would see it, but Phineas would pull out this Tetsubo, this large staff covered in studs, and take about 2 steps and just golf swing, where from the top of the shoulders following through, just to like hit as much or as many putty bodies as I possibly could, with some Casey Jones reference from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the very first movie, because that's the one thing that kind of just flew through my head as all this was happening. Because, well, I'm battling putties, so there's that.
I love it so much. So, as you kind of golf swing this, you do hit a couple of the putties. And so the putties within the vicinity of the area kind of now turn their focus from Junior, Atticus, and Warren and kind of look at you as you were off to the side a little bit. And now some of them are now focused on you. So, Atticus and
boy.
Warren, I will say that you do see out of the shadows, you see a golf swing happening with putties going flying and dispersing into sparks. And as you kind of turn your heads a little bit, you see your new friend Phineas kind of just swatting away at putties. So now, as we kind of position the camera to you two as this is going on, Warren, you just saw the putties kind of go flying and Phineas kind of making the first strike of everything. So, what would you like to do in this moment?
In this moment, I think snapping from originally thinking, how can I help Junior? What can I say? What can I do? Be in a position to not necessarily counterattack, but block any kind of offensive coming towards him. But realizing that the putties are coming towards us, um, I think training and instinct takes over, and as some of them focus over towards Phineas, Warren is going to address like the immediate cone of whoever's in his immediate like cone of vision right in front of him, and is also going to wade in to into battle. And I have two different narrative options depending on how well a roll goes to see how cool I look. But yeah, I think it's just gonna go in fists akimbo, ready to throw down.
We love it. Roll me a sleigh.
Shall. I'm gonna add my fists for my fighting style of pugilist to this. Hang on, little boy. You go that way. Thank you. Yeah, I want to add my fists, not my rainbow knuckles yet, but definitely my fists. And I think that's all I want to do for now. So I'm just gonna add a +1 to this.
Go for it.
Okay, so that is a 10 total.
Alrighty, so on a 10 plus, you get 2 of the upgrades. So once again,
Nice.
they are killing it. So they can't counterattack. You can
Mhm.
add more power. You can provide more coverage. You can take something from them. You can keep them focused on you. And then, of course, later you can make a comeback if you were negatively affected, which nobody is yet. So you get 2 of those, Warren.
Okay. I think for the first one, I'm going to take more coverage. And I think narratively what happens is Warren has been up in a defensive posture. And from his training and from his experience as a boxer, he's done sparring before, but he's very defensive combatant. He's very much a like training assistant. He's all about like um speed and dexterity and training others and being the support, like coach assistant kind of thing. When he boxes himself, he rarely fights someone else. It's always a shadow box situation. It's always drills on the bags, and he's a very like, this is exercise and a zen thing as opposed to like a prize fighting kind of situation. But something clicks, and in his brain there's like a warp of reality, and he just hears a ding ding, and for more coverage goes into however many are just immediately in front of him. And I think it's a series of quick jabs and ducks. It's all very form fitting. It's very methodical, and it's moving into and positioning with footwork to get in between all of them. And I think the other aspect of this is going to be killing it, because I'm going to, Warren is, as these blows are lancing out from him, he's going to tangle them up and keep them, they can't counterattack. He's in there too much. He's moving too quickly into their blind spot, coming around. It's not so much big damaging blows, it's keeping them busy, it's keeping them engaged in him in this group effect, the small group around him.
Absolutely, and that is exactly what happens. So good. So Warren, you kind of get in position, and again, you see Phineas kicking ass. You begin to kick your own ass while also looking to protect. So we love it when things come together. So Atticus, your squad mates are kind of just throwing it down, and you, as our Lord Swordsman, you feel the need all of a sudden to, in the name of justice, cut down some putties. So this is how we're gonna feed the murder hobo without the murder hobo-ness.
Atticus actually seeing his allies kind of taking out, yeah, you see over there, drawing the attention of the group of reflections. He now sees more of an opening towards the main target, so he's actually going to, as Warren moves away from him, he's going to take the opportunity to cut the opposite direction, and he's going to try and cut through some of the enemies that are in front of him to try and make his way outside of the ring to kind of not only flank some of these enemies, but also get closer to the magician. So he'll do the whole, anime slicing through enemies as he's like moving through the crowd. And for that, I will use he'll go for slay, and I will use my superhero weapon fighting and my karate.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
And so I rolled a 10, so with the 2, that's 12.
Damn, okay. So same thing as Warren, you get 2 of the upgrades, so killing it, more power, more coverage, you take something from them, you keep them focused on you, and you make a comeback. So you get 2 of those things.
Well, like everyone else, since make a comeback doesn't really apply right now, and I don't want to keep them focused on me because the others seem to be doing that. So I think what I will do is more coverage, so I can cut through more of that, like as many as I need to get through them, and I will use the killing it as well, just so then that way there's less chance of anyone being able to stop me from getting past them. So no attacks of opportunity for me, thank you.
Oh, we love to see it. Alrighty. So yeah, Atticus, you are definitely able to kind of do all that, and you are able to kind of just with the sword be like Zorro it. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, why not? You are Batman and Zorro. Why not? Or actually, not
A's on everyone.
You're like Alvin and the Chipmunk. No, just kidding. Oh my goodness. So you are able to do the thing. So this is gonna be a fun thing. So as you guys are kind of fighting the putties, and Warren, you are also looking to protect, Junior here. Atticus, you feel, as you are kind of fighting, or at least you feel the vibrations of something tapping on your metal, like armor, so to speak. And as you kind of like are still keeping focus on the putties, you see off of the peripheral, you see your little spider. And so your little spider, for some reason, now has a tiny little sword. And so your spider is actually going to go into action too.
Can
So
it be one of those like swords that they used to hold sandwiches together?
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I was going to describe it as. So it's one of those little plastic like swords that you either find in sandwiches, or for those of you people who grew up in a certain age, as I was a child of the 90s, this is also like the little plastic swords they used to put the cherries on when you ordered Shirley Temples and stuff like that. uh So the spider now has a little sword, and for some reason, it puts one of its legs behind its back, and it now is wearing like one of those little pirate hats, and you just hear off and it jumps off your shoulders and begins to crawl its way, just like cutting ankles off of the putties. Poor thing is trying, like it's not taking them down, but the putties are like Peter Griffin, like. Ah.
It's like the brownies from Willow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your little spider is cut down, is like literally not ankle biting, but ankle chopping and slicing and dicing the Achilles heels, if you will, of the putties. So it's getting crazy. So while all this is going on, Junior sees everything that is going down, and he kind of just takes a moment. He stands up straight, a little more straight, takes a deep breath, and begins to just hold his little hands up forward. And inspired by what he sees in front of him, he kind of just says to himself, all right, since you won't listen to reason, looks like I'm gonna have to show you what I can do. All right, guys, let's do this. And as soon as he holds out his hands, you see coming out of like his front trouser pocket and just from other places, you see the little embodiments of the Squeak Squad kind of on his shoulder, in his hands. And they all kind of face the same direction. They put their little tiny hands out. And so the best way to describe it is that Junior here is going to be trying to use magic to help you guys and to use his own stuff. But of course, because he is so young, the Squeak Squad is kind of like his little conduit, if you will, and they're extensions of him being able to cast magic in a very weird way and pulling from a very, very weird source. Anybody who is familiar with JoJo Part 5, this is Mista's Stan with his little bullets. They're just come to life and are able to kind of be conduits for whatever he needs to get done. So, but they are the Squeak Squad, and they are not named after a certain song by a certain band. For anybody who wants to know, the enemies in that universe are named after either music songs or music artists and music titles. And that particular thing that I'm pulling from, their name is the Sex Pistols, because they are 5 little bullets that are sentient and come alive and things like that. So we love to see it. But yeah, so the Squeak Squad and Junior take their positions. And even though it's not a lot, you start to see like tiny little orange blasts coming out, blasting the putties into the chest. And Junior is just trying his best to be of assistance. So now it's Senior's turn, so to speak. So Senior's seen all this. So seeing you three kind of taking out the putties, the mirror putties, and seeing his own child deciding to step on into the action and use his magic to kind of stop all this is going on, Senior becomes visibly more angry and more out of control. And you see, all of you see that the aura around the mirrors begin to crackle a little bit, and the humming begins to increase in volume. And you start to see that the mirror shards begin to start forming small little cracks around it too. And at the center where the pendant is especially for you, Atticus, since you are technically the closest to the stage without being on the stage because of where you positioned yourself before all this started, you start to see the pendant begin to glow, going from a bluish kind of hue to a more violet purplish. And it's starting, the atmosphere begins to feel more tense. You start to see all of you start to see the banisters on the second floor, the railings begin to kind of become cracked, if you will, as it seems that whatever pressure is inside of this tent is starting to affect the environment a little bit. And as Senior kind of now looks at you, you see that there is a glint of a dark maroon bloodshot color in his eyes. Like now he's wanting to do some damage, and damn all who is involved with all of this. You dare stand in the way of what I'm trying to do, now you will pay the price. And so now he gets to do his moves. Oh, you thought you were the only ones that get to do this? Oh, no. So he is going to do his own version of Slay, but not using the rainbow empathy. So let's see what happens here. Okay, not bad. So that is a 7. So he will be getting killing it. So actually, I changed that back. He's going to give himself more power because he's kind of losing his mind right now. Again, so as he is angry and he is channeling his anger through his magic, you all visibly see that physically you start to see the gravity, if you will, of the magic begin to kind of tatter and tear at his clothes and kind of evaporating it. You start to see his eyes become more bloodshot with the pupils becoming more of this maroonish kind of color. You also start to see a little bit of a nosebleed coming down. So he means business. Now, granted, he can't really do much at the moment right now, but if y'all don't figure something out, whatever he's about to do probably won't be good for everybody involved right now. So we come back to you, Phineas.
Now,
So,
do we all have the ability to see that? Like,
yes.
Okay. And like the banisters and the cracking and the.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. That's not good. Let's. We're still just swinging away, right? So it's like combat talking.
Whew.
It's a real Legolas Gimli situation, I think. Getting set
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking of it. It's like you and I were like going at this, and Artemis is like Gandalf style going towards Theoden, like trying to talk some sense into him. But yeah, so now we just need to bonk him in the head with a staff, right? Wait a minute, I've got a staff. I could bonk him in the head. How many of the leftover putties are there, Mikey?
So I will say with the 3, if you kind of being able to kick some ass and, slay, if you will, I will say that there's probably about maybe within the vicinity, probably like 3 or 4 left. You guys took out a pretty good chunk of them. And of course, little Atticus and the spider are also helping as well. So it's basically like you got 5 people working on this. So you got about like 3 or 4 putties left.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and because I don't feel like I'm close enough to be able to do anything, and I don't have the flashy swordman moves. So I'm going to try and take out the rest of the putties.
Ooh, so okay, so you are going to slay in the sense of trying to help out your teammates, which I love. Alrighty, so yeah. You know what? You know what? Here's what we gonna do. Instead of slay, because you are looking to put yourself on the line and kind of take out the putties, which will allow your teammates to do what they need to do. I'm going to have you roll be vulnerable because some of the common actions you can do that is to protect someone. So I'm going to say that you are protecting your teammates so then they can do what they need to do to kind of stop whatever's about to happen going down. So I'm going to have you roll be vulnerable. So, and because you are protecting somebody. So, do you have any tags that you would like to add to kind of add some bonuses to it?
Let me look back over here. No. I don't think I've got anything. No.
Hey, alrighty.
We're going to go at this. We're going to raw dog this roll. Let's go.
You got this. Oh no.
Nice. I got a 4.
Oh no. Oh damn. Okay. Oh no. Okay.
I was so overconfident. I was like, 3 of them, I got this.
Oh no. Okay. So this is oof. Oh boy. Okay. So this is gonna suck. So on a 4, that means, and funny enough, the 4 results in a oops. So here's what's gonna happen because you have failed the roll. This is gonna be a miss. So somehow you're gonna mess this up. So I'm about to give you a complication. So this is gonna be interesting. So Phineas, as you are kind of trying to get in position to kind of protect your teammates, your squad mates, so they can go and stop Senior, you prepare yourself. But as you kind of reach back to kind of grab your bow, you, no matter where you put it, you can't find it. And within the last attack of, golfing the putties, somehow the adrenaline was kicking in so much that you didn't notice it, that your weapon has flown in the direction of where the putties went. So the putties, were holding on for dear life as they were getting yeeted across the venue. And within the excitement and in the adrenaline, you did not realize that you let go of the weapon. So your weapon is safe. There's no putties around, but now you don't have your weapon, and the putties now see this and are inching ever so closely to you.
Well, I did say that I was going to do that kind of baseball golf swing. Apparently, I just full send. Let's go.
Alrighty. So that is what's happening. Alrighty, Warren. Well, this is for both of you. So Atticus and Warren, you guys do see all this happening. You see the putties with a weaponless Phineas. So also, I should have said this at the beginning of this, but if you guys would like to intervene and kind of do something immediately, the cool thing about this game is there's no set turn order. So if you guys have an idea, and this is more of a collaborative thing where if y'all want to work together to accomplish stuff, then anybody can do something at any time. I'm just going in order to make it easier. So if we want to go in order, it's Warren's turn. But if anybody else has an idea, Atticus or Warren, if y'all have an idea, to respond to what is currently happening, anybody can go. So, but yeah, so Phineas is weaponless. There are putties coming around. Help!
I've got a thing, I think, for this.
Go
Because
for it.
I looked through the player guide. I would like to care and remove an
Ooh.
existing negative tag for myself, an ally, or the environment. And I would like to care for Phineas by doing what I can to get him his weapon back, just so he can be on guard. And I think, he says, not having fully thought this out, I don't know how much of a butt you want me to be, Mikey, about these tags that I have chosen.
Ooh.
But
Alrighty. Go for
I
it.
have
Hey,
an idea.
okay, tell me your idea, and then we can go from there.
Okay. I would like to, because I imagine that there's distance between us, right? And
Right.
I want to give myself a complication because I think that's funny. So what I would like to do is having like punched the last putty in my zone like down or back, right?
Right.
And then realizing that that weapon was gone, I would like to um like find in my hand this pen that's just kind of shown up. Like maybe it was there the whole time, maybe it wasn't, but it has somehow warped reality and shown up in my hand. And I get the idea, and I would like to use my reality warping pen with some inspirational words uh, and possibly some clear and clever phrasing. And I'd like to say out loud to Phineas, rearm yourself, dude, and click the pen and draw like a line from my like it's like a it's like I'm drawing on a tablet, right? And I click the pen and I draw a line from the weapon to Phineas with like a little arrow like football play, and it just whoop, like back over into his hand is what I would like to happen.
Alrighty, let's see. So that is the plan. I love this plan. Let's see how successful the plan is.
Okay. I think I'm only going to give myself 2 of these things because I'm using my reality warping pen to warp reality, and I feel like this is some clear and clever phrasing, but definitely not inspirational because what I said was probably a word crime, and that's bad. Hey, that's not too bad. That is a 9 total.
Okay. So that is a partial success. So there is a slight complication, but it's not going to be as crazy.
Okay.
So, you know what, Warren? This is a partial success, and then I'll add the complication in. So why don't you narrate this and how you get to Phineas's weapon back?
Yeah. So it's like Warren's been in like fight mode, right? And it's almost like it's been like a speed round for him. And so it's been a lot of fancy footwork and a lot of moving around, and he gets the last putty, and because he's such a stickler for form, it's not like he like grabs him by the collar and like punches him across the face. It's like it's like an ending finishing combo of like it's like a left jab, jab, and then a hook. And that jab hook knocks it down, and then that reflection being right there falls to the side, and that is what sets up this perfect like landscape. And I see the weapon go over, and as it goes over in my hand, I notice that I've been holding this pen, and I click down one of the colors, and I say, for whatever reason, possessed by something, rearm yourself, dude. And as I click it down, the pen guides my hand, and it like highlights it and drags and drops, and then goes back over into Phineas's hand. So it's all done from my perspective, and I don't know what it looks like beyond my perspective, but it's just this like magic wand, almost like Wizards of Waverly Place style, and just whoop, over from the girl Selena Gomez out there, watching because I know she is. I don't know. Click, grab, and then over from
Writing
back
this
into
down.
Phineas's hand.
Writing this down for the love interest. Just kidding.
If you want to. I have a deep, mad respect for Selena Gomez. I think she's cool.
She is a really dope person. She's a decent human being. So okay, so this is where I think this is gonna be interesting. So I'm gonna throw in a little complication. So I'm gonna say that you are able to successfully give Phineas his weapon back. However, so as you kind of take this pen and like, hey, rearm yourself, dude. As the moment before you kind of just let the pen do its magic, you don't see this out of your periphery, but you do hear a very familiar voice. It's like, all right, time for me to get involved. And you see,
No.
and you see, your Tamagotchi that was stashed away kind of begin to glow a little bit. And normally he's stuck inside of the little Tamagotchi, but you see Sketch come on out and kind of fusion dance with the pen a little bit. So yeah, fusion, huh? But as the pen is coming, Sketch kind of gets in the middle of it and kind of wharfs with the pen. And so, Phineas, you are able to see this, grab it. So you have a kind of replica of your weapon a little bit. But as you are holding it, you see kind of staring back at you these pair of two like googly eyes. And you just, hear Sketch's little voice is like, hey, what's up, pal? Let's do this. And kind of just, you are now you have a sentient weapon. Sketch is kind of the weapon now.
The theme behind Sketch, right? Imagine Clippy, but instead of a paper clip, it's literally just a scribble of ink. That is Sketch. So there you go. Have fun now. My problem is now your problem. And all of our problems, because that's what teamwork is.
Great. Okay. It talks.
Sure does.
Okay.
And then the last thing that happens on Warren's side of this turn is just, damn it. Sorry!
Alrighty, so technically, Phineas, you are no longer without a weapon. You now have a weapon, but as long as it doesn't start calling you, hey, Eddie. Oh my goodness. So that ends your turn. So Atticus, you are up next.
All right. Yeah, some craziness going on over there. So you said how close am I to the stage now? Is there anything between me and the stage?
I mean, besides the set of stairs, and again, the stage is not hugely high. It's kind of like it's still ground level, but it's only elevated maybe like 4 or 5, like 3 or 4 feet, honestly, off on the ground.
It's like a circus stage, not a theatrical stage. Yeah,
correct.
And are there any enemies in between me and like the magicians?
So to kind of give a perspective, so you're kind of like smack dab in the middle. I will say that Junior is behind you, kind of taking out the putties with the Squeak Squad. Your little spider is kind of also helping with that. So those two are working together. And in front of you is the stage with a Senior up there. So,
all right. I mean, I guess since the way is clear, Atticus is going to use his enhanced anime abilities. And he's gonna jump up to the stage, do the like box jump style jump, spinning his sword around and slamming it down in front of him as he lands in front of the magician. And he will try to get as close to the magician as he can, trying to draw his attention, seeing what effect he's having on the environment, and keeping a close eye on that amulet that's around his neck. He's ground level, right? He's not like floating or anything, is he?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And as he stands up, he'll spin the sword around and point it at him and say, we do not wish to harm you, but we will if that's what it takes to stop you. And I would like to. What was it? I saw something in here. Oh, what was the? Wasn't get? No, it wasn't care. Oh, that's right. The kid's not there, so I'm not going to be protecting someone.
Your spider's kind of doing that for you, so.
Yeah.
Is it talk it out? Maybe.
Could be. You know what? Let's look at that. Let me look. Yeah, I would say.
Wait, what's this? Strike a pose. Boost yourself with your cute. No.
Or be vulnerable, maybe, because like kind of taking that.
Yeah, that's what I was
focal
looking
point
at.
of-
Yeah, I'm gonna be vulnerable. That's what I was looking at originally when I thought Junior was a target, but I'll more apply this to my allies and Junior as protect someone, being more like taking the whatever focus he might have on the others. So basically, it says get between an attack and a target or move the target out of harm's way. I'm gonna get between him and everybody else. And doing so, flashing my sword at him and everything, I would like to use intimidating combatant.
Yes.
And can I apply decisive and powerful to that?
I will say yes. Yes,
All
you
right.
can.
Okay, so 2. So I got a 9. Rolled a 9, so plus 2 is 11.
All right, that is a full success. So
Okay.
you get to get to do the action, and it is wonderful. That is what the book says. You do the action, and it's wonderful. Yes. So yeah, so Atticus, why don't you go ahead and cinematically verbalize how this happens?
Like I said, he jumps up to the stage, doing the superhero landing, but instead of his hand into the ground, it's like stabbing the sword, kind of reverse grip style. And then he'll stand up to his full height because he's at like 3 inches taller in his armor, and pulling the sword out and spinning it around and holding it like he's holding the magician on point. Since the amulet would be about chest level, I'm assuming it's not like a choker, right?
No.
Okay. He's holding him on point, but like actually targeting the amulet. And as he says this warning to him, the sword, which takes the place of his halo that most of the heroes have, his sword glows already. It's like a black blade, but it gives off like prismatic colors coming off of it. As he points it like the glow of the prism of the rainbow colors that are coming off of it like glow even more, like lighting up the space around it, shining kind of on him, giving him the like, you know, when you hold a flashlight underneath you so you can see all the like more striking angles of his armor, while also shining more light directly onto the magician, kind of exposing him more and shining that prismatic light onto him.
Nice. Cool. So you are able to do all of that. And as you kind of step within the space of a senior on the stage and kind of preparing to do what you need to do, not to harm, but to kind of be a little, but may have to resort to it if need be. So you see for a brief moment that senior kind of sways a little bit in his fit of rage. He kind of is caught off guard by how brash and how bold you are being with coming straight up to him. And he kind of is caught off guard for a couple of seconds, which then allows, as now it is Spider and Junior's turn, as you hear I will say, just for the comedic effect, for the effect of things, you hear the little pitter patter footsteps of 8 tiny little legs running across the ground, going up the little wood, as well as little legs that are making like the rubber ducky squeak sounds, as well as tiny little childlike footsteps, as you have the senior kind of caught off guard, pinpointed, ready to go. You have allowed yourself to kind of serve as a distraction, which allows your spider, the squeak squad, and Junior to kind of all tackle together in a tiny little rah! And kind of grab on to Senior, as now he's like, oh, what is this? Get off me, and just trying to like take the squeak squads off, which then allows Junior to kind of reach out. And let me see if he's successful in doing this, because he's going to protect his new compatriots and the random strangers who are helping him. So, damn, this kid is doing pretty good today. So that is a full success. He is able to reach out and grab the pendant and kind of just rip it back off of his dad. And as his kind of orange glow combines with the purplish glow of the pendant, I say the word explode, but more so like pulsates as the two opposing forces kind of clash together. There is a force of kind of like a pulse that kind of goes through the arena. And as it kind of emanates from this source and kind of spreads out through the inside of this tent, you see the mirrors begin to shatter. Any putties that were left begin to dissipate and blow up into confetti sparks, if you will. And you see that the cracks in the banister and everything begin to chip away and kind of like crack in half and things like that. Not enough for the building to kind of start coming down, but enough to have some structural damage, but not enough to bring the support of this space down. But you do start to see falling pieces coming down. Part of the railing falls to the floor, whatever seats were up there as well. So at this point, Senior, kind of after everything has settled down, is now on the ground, sitting kind of in a disheveled position, like the world has just ended for him and things like that. Meanwhile, Junior is still holding on to this pendant, which no longer is glowing and is now just a regular pendant. And yeah, so we have, for all sake and purposes, Kick Some Ass has come to a close. So end scene.
So does the dad seem like he's like snapped out of it? Does he just seem dejected because he like lost, or does he seem like is his skin no longer as pale? Does he look like does he look like something came over him is now kind of faded?
He looks dejected in the sense that he lost, but he also seems dejected in the sense that the fact that to him, a circus clown, an acrobat, and lion tamer, and his own child stopped whatever he was doing with these mirror creatures. He just looks dejected. So, as everyone's kind of coming together, Phineas and Warren, you guys kind of get closer to the stage and join the rest of everybody. Senior stands up, and just with this very empty look in his eyes, kind of just turns to Junior and, begins to say, all right, let's see if I can do this correctly. He looks directly at Junior and tells him, magic isn't a toy. It's a tool. It is a weapon. It is not meant to entertain or amuse. It's meant to protect us from what lies beyond what we don't understand. And not even yelling or screaming, kind of just looks at Junior and says, "You do well to remember that." And he kind of begins to walk past you guys and walking down the stairs. And as you three are kind of just looking on and trying to figure out what's next, Junior kind of gets a little bold and he steps forward and he kind of rebuttals against his dad and tells him that, but magic feels like it wants to be happy. It's supposed to be warm. It tickles, and it's like a sunlight that's meant you like flowers blooming in the sunlight. I can use this to make people laugh. Isn't that a good thing too? It doesn't have to just be for protection. Laugh. Laughing doesn't stop a blade, boy. Laughing doesn't hold back the dark. Magic is serious. It's the only thing standing between us and chaos. Do you think the enemy will stop to smile at your little tricks? The three of you begin to feel the atmosphere kind of tense up a little bit. And so you're kind of just witnessing all this happening. And so as this atmosphere is getting a little more tense, Junior doesn't stop there and just continues to rebuttal. But maybe if they felt happy, they wouldn't be enemies, right? Maybe magic could make them see the good things. And you three can tell that within Junior's voice, it's very optimistic, it's very hopeful. But the more he speaks, the three of you begin to see the orange glow kind of emanate a little bit more around his aura. But then as soon as you see that, you also see coming off of Dad that this more coldness, like soul crushing aura coming from him. And you could just feel the tension in the air as Senior, within this cold expression, looks at Junior and tells him, magic doesn't change what's in a person's heart. It reveals it. And do you want to know what's in the hearts of most people? Fear, greed, anger. The moment you use magic to play your silly little games, you let your guard down, and that's when the world will crush you. And you see that this coldness kind of begins to overtake a little bit more, and you see Junior's glow begin to flicker a little bit. But magic isn't supposed to be like that. It's supposed to help us. Magic doesn't care what you think it's supposed to do. It is a responsibility, and it will devour you if you treat it like a game. You want to fill the world with joy? Then leave magic alone. The world doesn't need another fool who thinks they can save it with smiles. And within that, Senior kind of just turns around and begins to walk towards the exit of the tent. And in front of you, you just see Junior just not knowing what to do. I just wanted to make things better. And at this point, symbolically, the orange glow begins to fade completely, only leaving this cold atmosphere kind of remaining. Junior lowers his head in kind of a defeated fashion as his dad turns around one more time, watches in silence, and then turns back around to walk away. So, yeah. You just I try my best not to be too crazy, but the three of you just witness a child's soul kind of get crushed just a tiny bit. So, poor guy. So, as the three of you kind of compose yourselves a little bit, you just see Junior just very heartbroken.
Can we jump in here?
Yeah, I will say that the scene has kind of played out the way that it does, and so now the three of you can jump in, and so
did we get the sense when that was happening, like this is like no matter the cause, this was the outcome that happened. That like this was more of like a memory that we saw happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Atticus, I don't know why I always just pictured his sword either collapsing down or just like disappearing or whatever. Because I never pictured him having like a sheathed sword on him anywhere. Well, he'll remove his sword, however it is, and walk towards the child, and try to say in a caring voices, you know, your father is right. If you go through life alone, that is often what will happen. But you showed us and you showed him, whether he wants to admit it or not, when you have friends and allies that stand with you, that doesn't have to be the truth. Yes, people have fear and anger in their heart. They often have that anger because they're afraid of being alone, afraid of being hurt. But when you let people in and you make people feel safe, you can often overcome that fear with hope and that anger with joy. I don't know that your father is past the point of feeling those things, but don't let his feelings force those hopes and joys away from you. Your power, pointing at the Squeak Squad, clearly has the ability to bring joy and friends into your life, and sharing that with others is the way to spread that.
So, as you say this, I'm not even going to make you roll for it. That was beautiful. Hey, look, I get the final say, and I reward players when things are beautiful. So, as you kind of say this, Junior, and as you're saying this to Junior, you kind of see him wipe his tears away a little bit and just looks at you, Atticus, and says, "But I'm scared. What am I supposed to do now?" Again, this is an 8-year-old who is dealing with a lot right now.
Atticus will kneel next to him, take his hand, say, I'll let you in on a little secret. We're all a little bit scared sometimes, but that's what makes life exciting. And I think you have the ability to overcome that fear. I think you're a lot stronger than you or your father thinks.
My heart. So, as you as you say these comforting words to him, he wipes his tears away. He stands up. He's still visibly shaking, but he turns to you and without any proper warning, again, because he's about yay high, he's only about up to your waist, Atticus. He kind of just gives you a tiny little hug around and says, "Thank you." And just like holds on for a couple of seconds as he doesn't want to let go. But eventually he does. And he looks around. The little squeaks are by his side and says, "All right, let's do it." And kind of turns to the three of you and says, "Thank you for everything." And in kind of like a faint ethereal glow, you start to see the um you start to see him kind of fade a little bit as he kind of disappears into the light. And as the three of you are looking around, you also see that the scenery kind of begins to do the same thing and kind of dissipate. So as this all disappears, you are kind of left in a not a void, but you are in a space that is just a pure white. And this is not, I want to preface by saying this is not an enemy, but as you look around and as the scenery and the individuals and everything that you saw begins to kind of fade away into this light, standing directly in front of you is kind of a well, I'll just show it to you.
But as everything's fading away, Atticus wants to try to collect up his little friend, his little house moss.
Yeah, the little spider has reunited with you and is just chilling on your shoulder again. Somehow he managed to use his webbing to kind of create a sheath for his little tiny like toothpick sword, and he is still wearing his little hat with it, and so now he's chilling with it. So you do collect the spider, but as everything fades and kind of you guys are all left in this very this warmth of a white light and kind of space, standing directly in front of you happens to be Junior, but it is not the same version that you guys saw beforehand. So directly in front of you is a more darker version with this kind of dark aura emanating from him, but not in a way where he's ready to pounce in an attack. It's just it's more of a distraught and kind of apathetic version of Junior that you saw, is just kind of just sitting there with this dark aura kind of hanging around him. Again, not it doesn't seem like he's gonna fight, doesn't seem, he's just there, and he kind of is just with this empty stare staring at the ground. And as the three of you look at this, you see kind of beginning to form in front of you guys is this crystallized, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like a crystal mirror shard begins to appear and kind of coalesce. And as it takes more of a shape, you see that it forms kind of like a crystallized key, if you will. And as this key comes to its final formation, you see on this key, it looks to be in kind of like an amberish color, and inscribed on this key is, the word joy. And as this key is just kind of just floating there, you see that this darker version of Junior is also kind of glowing with this aura of the same amber color as well. So there's a key floating in front of you. What would you like to do with said key?
Warren's gonna wave like casually over at Junior and see if he can get his attention. Just a little like, huh?
No response. Is just kind of staring at the floor, disheveled, with this dark crying aura hanging around him.
Okay. I'll look at the other two and go up and like extend a single finger out and like does the key have like a ring hole like on the butt of the key?
Yeah, where you can kind of grab it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think instead of just grabbing the key, Warren's gonna like try and hook the key onto a finger.
Okay.
And see what that does.
Cool. So you put and let me preface by saying this is the key. You put your finger in the hole of the key.
Hey, we're an hour and 50 minutes in to this call, so I feel like we're okay.
You
That's
just
fair.
said you were going to touch the key's butthole.
I sure did. I Finding Nemo the shit out of that key.
It's the key of joy too, so
I mean, anyway, moving on. He says,
it's like, whoa, he touched the butt. Anyways, so Warren, as you kind of, I'm just gonna say, you put your finger through the keyhole. The key kind of resonates with your finger in a way that it's kind of like, if you can visually, as you put your finger through it, it's kind of like trying to gravitate itself for you to grab it. So it's like going, as you move your finger in and out, the keyhole is just like going, back and forth. I see you, JT. I know what I did.
at some point, as Warren is playing with his keyhole, realize what he's doing to this keyhole, and go, sorry, and then just full hand on it, just to awkward.
So as you grab the
I
key,
hear he is good with his fists.
Nope, not gonna go there. Anyway, so Warren, as you grab the key and you kind of firmly grasp it, you are, as you take possession of the key, you see it kind of gingerly, but also forcefully, kind of makes you like move your arm towards with the key pointing at this dark version of Junior here. And as it's pointing, you see beginning to form around, this dark image of Junior, what looks to be some sort of lock. And so as you look at this lock, you see that it is designed very in a macabre kind of aesthetic. It's got thorns and it is like dark obsidian in color. The chains are not to scare people, but the chains are inscribed with like images of pain and sorrow and things like that. And so again, the lock is very cold, the key is very warm. So the key is kind of just pulling you towards the direction of the lock.
Stick it with the pointy end, Warren.
Yeah, I think Wharton's gonna have a thought pop into his head, and as it's going towards the lock, look into his other free hand and realize again the pen is just there. He's gonna click it and draw in the open air, draw a keychain that is the clay miniature that got stomped, right? And just try and like sketch out like a cartoonish version of one of the little his homies from the past, right? Presumably the memory, as a keychain, and loop that through the key before letting the key go in the lock. I think that's like just a little like, yeah, joy, right? Like this is, yeah, that makes sense. And just sketch that out real quick, and then yeah, go in the thing and do the thing that people normally do with keys, which is unlock things. That's the word. Got it. I will unlock the lock. Got it. We're great. The
You
wordsmith,
got this.
everyone.
You got this. I believe in you.
Thanks.
I will. Yeah, it's easy enough. You are able to kind of create one of the little putty. Well, not the putty. You are able to create a miniature version of one of the little Squeak Squad as a keychain, and I'm assuming you are sticking it in the hole.
Yes, I will stick it in the hole, and I will give it the healthy twist in the appropriate direction to unlock its locked up goodness.
Open up its joy.
That's
Yes.
it. That's the one. Thank you.
I didn't make the sign, Mikey. I'm sorry, but I'm holding up a "that's what she said" sign.
We love to see it.
Sorry, everybody.
It's all good. I'm putting it down on the counter. So, as you place the key into the lock, Warren, and you give it a good twist, the key begins to emanate this amber glow, and as you turn, you hear the click of the lock, undoing itself. The top pops off. So think of this as like a standard like gate lock where the top like pops off a little bit and unlock it. It pops off and you begins to turn itself to open it, and the chains and the lock begin to fall. And as you kind of see the lock and the chain fall to the ground, you look directly at this very monochromatic, sad version of Junior kind of begin to regain his color a little bit. And you see this warmth of this amber glow of the key begin to cascade over Junior. And as it kind of cascades over him with its warmth and its energy, you begin to see his appearance change from this monochromatic, disheveled, disheartened version of the 8-year-old you saw not too long ago, and the light kind of restores him to his former self. And as he's still kind of sitting on the ground and the color comes back to him, he stands up. He looks at you three, but he looks at you, Warren, directly, and just smiles. And then you begin to see again the light begin to fade a little bit. And as the light begins to fade, you see that in this kind of short burst of blinding light, if you will, as his presence disappeared, what is left behind is what looks to be a toy magician's wand. And as you kind of pick it up, Warren, and kind of examine it, you kind of flick it a little bit and out pops like a fake bouquet of flowers. So it's one of those like wands that has the little built-in flowers in it. And then as you flick it back, it kind of just, goes back in. So time for some lore dump really quickly. So this, my players, is a memento. So when you enter the inner space of an individual and you are able to kind of witness what kind of led to the way that they feel about the world or how they became the way they were, and are able to, again, not necessarily change the person, but kind of unlock what needs to be there in order for them to start that change on their own. You kind of just help the process along the way. You get mementos, which are kind of symbols that are symbolic of whoever's inner spaces is. And it's not going to be a secret, but this is going to be an important key as to how to deal with the actual person in the real world. So, Warren, you are now in possession of the memento of joy, which is this little toy wand that is able to comedically have flowers pop out of it with the flick of the wrist.
Yay, Warren got a joy wand.
I did get a joy wand. I will play with this joy wand absent-mindedly, rolling it between my fingers, flipping it around, letting the thing come out, let it come back out. All right, guys.
Don't play with your joystick too much. I hear you go blind doing that.
What was that? And as Atticus says that, I'm twirling it, I'll turn and poke myself right in the eye. Ah! He's right. It's prophetic. Oh no. What have I done?
Oh my goodness. So as you know what? Because it's funny. So Warren, as you continue to play with the joy wand, the white space begins to glow and fade away. And then the three of you find yourself once again back in the attic in front of the mirror portal. And as the three of you look on where once was a young 8-year-old boy in, a comatose state, just kind of floating on the precipice, now you see the vision of it change. And it changes from a kind of very cold, kind of monochromatic appearance. It begins to be washed over, and now you see little Junior here. His image goes from being in a comatose state to a static image with him and his Squeak Squad practicing magic tricks for other little kids, and kind of like being able to use that for fun and spreading the joy that needs to be done. And on that lovely note, my players, that is where we are going to end this session tonight. So, y'all did it. You were able to survive. You were able to do some combat. You were able to do the things. You were able to find the source of what made the magician the way that he was. And more importantly, you were able to collect your first memento by using your powers for good to get, open the heart of what's been locked away for so long. I'm so excited, you guys, because now we are into the final parts of this opening act, and I'm so excited for the conclusion of this. So what is going to become of our players now that they have the momentum of joy? What does it mean? How are they going to use it to save everybody that got trapped into the mirrors? And more importantly, where did that spider get that sword? these are all the questions that will be answered next time on QUEERZ. I would like to thank my players for being here this evening. Without them, I cannot do this and tell this story. They are an integral part to this, so they always have my love and my thanks. Shout out to, our moderator, our technician, the, big man in charge, Will, for allowing me to tell the story on his platform. So I appreciate you, Will. And I am super excited to be able to have this game and to be able to share it with all of you. So we will be back. So the fun part is with all of this, we will be back with our next session. So many things happening. We will be back Saturday, February 15th with our next session of QUEERZ. So I know it's going to be a couple of weeks. My schedule is kind of busy the next couple of weeks, but I promise you we will be back for an exciting episode and the conclusion to the Carnival of Illusions chapter in our story. So from myself, my players, and, El Jefe himself, Will, and everybody here at Halfling Wizard Productions, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and until next time, be queer, and see you later.
Thanks for joining us for this Halfling Wizard production. Make sure to come back again soon to see what happens next, right here where adventure comes to life.